Are we there yet? Welcome everybody to Talking Niagara with me, Peter Giblett, and the one everybody wants to see. His name is
Dave Wheeler.
There we go. At least in his own mind. Okay, so just a quick update. I saw following the news about this hit and run at Greendale and Montrose. They've actually named a person, a 33-year-old, driving an Audi SUV, white Audi SUV.
Yeah, we said yesterday basically that there's probably cameras in and around there, and and that's exactly what it was. They did pick up the image of the car, and it's a very distinct car. So it is an Audi. Yeah. How many people drive an Audi SUV? That's a high-end vehicle, so there can't be a whole lot of them. It's white. And it has a moon window on the top of it, so it's very distinctive. So probably in very short order after publishing that, they probably got a huge amount of tips. So you're saying they actually did arrest a guy?
Well, I've seen a thing that said they arrested him. They even gave a name.
What was the name?
I'm not going to repeat online. Can't do it.
Okay.
Right.
So
he's a 33-year-old person of Indian descent.
Yeah, I kind of felt it might have been a foreign-born person because I don't know, they just kind of probably felt they're going to get deported or something, so they ran away. But this is not the fact that these Indian might have nothing to do with it, because people do hit and run. That's a very common thing.
Yeah.
People go in a state of shock, they hit somebody, and then they run away.
Yeah.
And
but I saw
they go into a state of denial because they've caught people who have been obviously witnessed of doing it, taken off, went home, parked in the driveway, and then claim they don't know what you're talking about when they come to get you. It's just, I think sometimes they're in a state of shock.
I think it's a state of shock. It's a state of shock, that takes over, right?
Unfortunately,
I don't think anybody hits and runs on purpose, unless you're drunk driving or something, unless you've committed a crime or something. Say you've just burgled the bank, you just robbed the bank, and you're fleeing, you hit somebody, right? Then I can get it. You're probably not going to stay around, are you?
Yeah, but somebody driving an Audi like that is not going to have been not likely of being somebody knocked over in a bank and stolen a car.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, this guy is in big trouble now because he's now a hit and run.
Yeah. And
now that he's a hit and run, he's a much deeper trouble. Now, if he was drunk or something like that and he ran away for those reasons, who knows? But or under the influence, but probably just ran away because he was scared or in denial.
Yeah, most likely.
And the fact of the matter is, most of us stop and try to do something with the victim that we've just hit. But there is something in our minds that makes us run away from terrible things we've done, I guess. And in this particular case, that's the guy. Now, he didn't turn himself in, I don't think, and he's been identified, and that is big problems for him now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Yeah, just wanted to give an update before we got into the rest of the day's stuff. So, okay, so the delays at the Niagara Addiction Treatment Hub opening have been raising concerns. This is it's the crikey, what's it called? HEART, which means I had the actual acronym. It's Homeless and Addiction Recovery Treatment Center or hub, right? Heart hub.
Yes.
And it's a very concerning because this was due to be open in April. It hasn't been opened. It's and counsellors report that the delay is affecting vulnerable individuals who rely on timely access to treatment and outreach services. So that's giving a lot of cause for concern.
I'll read you a quote here. They're perfectly happy to cut services that were saving people's lives to appease certain aspects of their base and not to follow up to ensure there's some robust alternative. So that is a quote by a fellow by the name of Stanton, or a person by the name of Stanton. It says delays will not only affect people looking for service, but outreach workers too.
Yeah, and St. Catherine's MPP Jenny Stevens has criticised the provincial government for the delay, urging faster action to get the facility running. And basically, she's talking about the delay. It's more than just a bureaucratic hiccup.
It says here, heart hubs these are heart hubs. These are to treat addicts, particularly opiate addicts.
Yeah.
Heart hubs were promoted by the province as alternatives to consumption and treatment sites, with a $529 million in funding announced last August. It is part of the new legislation to create 27 hubs and force the closure of many of Ontario's 25 supervised consumption sites. So but it hasn't really taken effect.
We talked about this back, I think, in the fall last year when they were first announcing it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
However, nothing's really. What they want to do is they want to get, St. Catherine's consumer site, consumption and treatment site. Is operated by Positive Living in Niagara, was unaffected by legislation as it is not located within 200 meters of a school or a daycare. Okay. So that's one of the things that the Ontario government didn't like, is the proximity of these places to schools and daycares. And I understand you can understand that.
We understand their concern in that regard, but again, there are sometimes you've got very little choice on where you put these things, right? But if it's not suffering such a condition, such an issue, why isn't it open by now? I get a few weeks delay, maybe. It might well have been open at the beginning of May, not at the beginning of, not in April.
Yeah, it's been a few days that I've read this article, so I got a kind of bone up.
It just bothers me. It bothers me when I see public authorities, waste of money like this, because clearly, when you're not opening something, you're wasting taxpayer funds, right?
Yeah, the complaint is the government announced this ban without presenting any supporting scientific, clinical, or public health evidence.
But they've already said that the St. Catherine's Centre wasn't affected that way.
Yeah, but they're fighting. Everybody can understand why you don't want one of these sites 200 meters, and that's not that very far either. Yeah. From schools and stuff like that, schools and daycare centers or anything, any other place. So you can understand the average person, and the one at St. Catherine's isn't within 200 meters, so far it's unaffected.
Yeah,
but both internal ministry reports and taxpayer-funded external expert analysis consistently demonstrate a range of public health and public safety benefits of supervised consumption sites. So there still is that argument, but there is the argument that if you have a supervised injection site, that just that makes things safer for those people who are taking the drugs, but doesn't really lead to anything. All it does is make them safer. So, okay, the addicts are much more safer now, but they're still indulging in the drug. And what are the sites actually doing? How are they promoting elimination of addiction or treatment of addiction? So, well, the first thing you have to do is get people to a safe place where they can do their drugs and then wean them off. But that second part, wean them off, hasn't really shown much progress, it seems to me. Now, that I could be wrong about that, but I haven't really read anything.
Yeah, we haven't read anything. We haven't had any news items that have been saying how successful these programs have been.
Now, what you'd have to do is, you pretty much have to go down there and see how many people have successfully been weaned off drugs.
My scan of headlines also indicates that that back in March of 25, the Guelph Heart hub services were put on hold, presumably because of this issue about proximity to schools.
Yes, and that, of course, is very concerning. And we found our homeless places that quite often obviously include addiction problems and drug problems. So we have places like on Summer Street, and I think it's the other one is on Buchanan, and they really haven't been that effective. They've advertised that they won't affect the neighborhood that bad and all this, and what's turned out to be wrong. They have affected neighborhoods very badly.
Yeah. The irony, of course, is that the one on Buchanan, I was looking at. I went past there last week sometime, and I was looking at that, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is kind of like 50 meters from where there used to be a well-known drug supply house.
A little bit of irony there.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, obviously, I'm assuming that drug supply house is no longer in use, but I have
they'd get broken into every night if it was.
Yeah, I have no known knowledge of it, but there used to be a dealer on that, literally 50 meters from that point.
Yes, but the fact is, what's working, what isn't, and we really don't really have much. I mean, these heart hubs and things that the government have decided to do may be a better system, and they're actually investing $530 million into that as alternatives to the consumption sites. Consumption sites are, you can say, well, the one good thing about them is they're a safer place for people to do drugs, and their drugs can be identified, and they can be, supervised a bit about it so they don't, die or get violently ill. They can stop people from taking drugs that aren't good, or at least tell them that those drugs aren't good. But what do you do thereafter? So now you've protected the person that is the addict from some consequences of doing drugs. But where do you go from that point on? And there doesn't seem to be a clear path forward.
Well,
what it is like, you cannot force people into treatment. And when people get the idea they want treatment, they get in, they fall off the wagon, they get in, they fall off the wagon. It's much worse than alcohol. And we know what kind of problems we have. We have Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that are very effective against alcoholism. However, we still have a lot of alcoholism. And of course, the opiates and other drugs they have out there are much more addictive and much more consequential.
Yeah.
So the very idea that you have consumption points, you now need that next phase, an effective phase.
Yeah.
But the way the law works, that a citizen cannot be forced to do any of that kind of thing. So we are obliged to let them go back out in the street. And if they need money for drugs, they're going to steal stuff or whatever, because it's an insane need, and their lives will continue to be destroyed. What is the interruption we need in that cycle? Yeah. Some say grab them all, take them to a kind of a concentration camp kind of thing. And I don't want to put concentration camp, but a community outside the city or somewhere where treatment can be kind of forced upon them. Basically, they're going to be taken there almost like in a jail substance.
But those in the recovery industry will tell you that forcing anybody doesn't work.
Well, what does work? Because they don't have any answers either.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and that's I think a big open question, and the sooner we get this center open, it might start in the right direction.
Possibly. Let's hope so. But treatment is the only way.
So. Yeah. I hope so. If anything,
as we look at it now, we're looking at more and more. We're looking at these people who are wastrels and offscourings of society, and they will just take a long time to die, and they will just become getting sicker and sicker on the street until they're admitted to hospital. When they get out of hospital, they'll begin the cycle again until finally they'll die, and that seems to be inevitable the way things are now. Yeah. And so you can make the argument, if you can take people, separate them from their life, and kind of insist that they stay there without drugs, and take some kind of treatment for the drug addiction or the mental health addictions, that may be the better way to go. That's the argument. That's not my argument, basically, but that's the argument, because I certainly don't know. I have no idea.
All right. Okay. So moving on, Gord Singleton Way was unveiled in Niagara Falls. I actually, the irony here, Dave, is that I drove past that yesterday. I drove past that pretty well every single day. And I stopped at the corner of Walpole and Victoria. The irony is I didn't have to stop, but I looked at the wheel with the flowers on it that was on the signpost, and appreciated that. And that's a well-known route for cyclists. In fact, there's a lot of cyclists. I think there's cycle events go down there at the weekend.
Oh, possibly, yeah. Gord Singleton was a very famous cyclist from Niagara Falls. He had many accomplishments in cycling.
Yeah, he died at 67 last year of cancer.
Yeah, very sad. Very sad. He was an extraordinarily good cyclist. He had all kinds of records and accolades in his name. He later on, I think he became advertising spokesman for, I don't know, was it Niagara Battery and Tire or something like that? I can't remember. But anyway, he was a bit of an icon, and it's very sad that he went that way. But I don't know, we don't get enormously. This guy is a huge figure in cycling.
Yeah.
And we don't really get huge athletes out of Niagara Falls very often. And in this particular case, we're honoring a guy.
We've got yourself, Dave. You know, you were huge in amateur wrestling, weren't you?
Yeah, my double reverse eye couch is a legend.
And we have a legend, Mike Strange, who went to the Olympics.
Yeah, but now Strange he may be honored and in the future because of his work with kids, and using his fame gained by his Olympic status, and because of what he's done for kids, run across Canada and stuff like that. So he may get a street name of some kind somewhere along the line. That is, if he beats this charge that's against him. That
becomes a complicated matter, and that actually then is is a very complicated thing. But yeah, we do have our athletes. But yes, we'd probably be more renowned for other forms of art.
Has anyone ever? I've heard nothing about the Mike Strange case. Is it being deferred again?
No, I haven't heard anything. No, not at all. Yeah.
Well, in any case,
actually, I think it was deferred till October when we were talking, weren't we?
Yeah, I think it's the second time it's being deferred.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's his lawyer that suggests keep deferring it, that's a good thing because it gets out of the public mind, and gets off as a talking point. But we won't forget it.
Well, and also, actually, if it's the prosecution that's delaying, they have to consider the length of time of the delay, and that's all taken into consideration.
So is it the prosecution that's delaying, or is it the
defense? I don't know. I haven't a clue. I don't know.
Probably the defense in my situation.
Yeah.
I think probably very much.
Yeah, but again, given there's an election the October next year, you'd want that election. You want that charges done and dusted as early as you can, in order to put as much space as you can between that and the election, whether it's guilty or not guilty, right?
Yeah, it's just I don't know what to say about that, and he may be innocent, he may be guilty, who knows? But
we're not going to speculate about that.
Yeah, the whole thing has to be wrapped up basically, because there's a kind of a stain on the city council right now. Until that's wrapped up, nobody's very happy. Mike's doing his job. I think if I was innocent, I would continue to do my job too. But then I don't know. That has to be resolved, and I don't really think justice is served if they take a simple case like this and keep pushing it down the line. Like, I mean, why?
Yeah.
Can't you just address it right now? You've got the plaintiff, you've got Mike, and you got the cops, and you've got your witnesses. Done. Get on.
But it's all about evidence, right? Okay. Mike says we gave Gord Singleton a much better laneway than Terry Fox way. What an insult to Terry Fox.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I don't want to judge her. I don't know who made the decisions and why they made the decisions.
Mm.
But Terry Fox obviously is a national hero. He's a national hero of high status, and
yeah.
But Gord Singleton is mostly a local lad, so
yeah,
maybe that has something to do with it.
I think that has something to do with it. We should always tell about our local heroes.
Yeah, but Terry Fox, like I heard Terry Fox talking when I was working on Queen Street at the time that he visited City Hall here, and I could hear them. They had a rally in front of, and I was just a few blocks down there, so I could hear it all, but I didn't see him. Mm-hmm. I should have just told my boss I'm going to take a jot down the road and check this out, but I didn't.
All right. Okay. So, so as I said, this Gord Singleton Way is Walpole Road. It's got both names on there at the moment. And in fact, actually, there's only one building on Walpole Road anyway. So, it's not exact, and that building hasn't even opened yet.
Oh, you're talking about the hydrogen thing?
The hydrogen center. It's under construction, so I see how it's been under construction for quite some time now, right? And they closed and redid that road anyway, and kept it closed way too long, in my opinion. But still, that's a thing of the past. We're not going there, right? All right. So
yep. So what else we got?
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Ontario records 94,753 housing starts last year, but it's not enough. All right, because
it's way down.
Yeah, way down. Low housing starts, even with new ways of counting them.
Yeah, so the government figures, okay, well, we're going to count them a little bit different. We're going to include student domiciles and retirement homes.
Yeah,
which are residences too. So they throw them into the mix, which means they're still about 50,000 under what they should be starting.
So if you're building a building that has 150 units in it, do they count that as one building or do they count that as 150 units?
I think they're talking beds.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not. It's been a few days since I read this article too. But the fact of the matter is, we need more homes, but we're not building them.
Yeah.
And we're not keeping up with the pace that the government wants, and which will relieve the strain of housing for our citizens. But the problem is, and I'll keep returning to this, they're building things, but they're building things that people can't afford.
Yeah.
So of course, when the builders build it and they can't sell it, they're stuck with it. So they're building houses that are, it seems to me, they're building homes for people who make 90 to 100,000 or over, and the mean income of the area is around the high end, I think, is $60,000, $65,000 or something. So they're building houses for people not that make $65,000 a year.
Yeah.
Family income is 100 and the mid range, I think, is 100 and something thousand, but low hundreds, which is still not enough, really, to break into that market. Now, if you have saved for a long time, so you have a big down payment and you can demonstrate that you can handle the bills of et cetera, then yeah, maybe you can then break into that market. But the fact of the matter, most people can't. The standard of living for the average person in Niagara and probably all of Ontario has gone down. And what's happening is the middle class is breaking up. You have the low tier middle class, the middle class, and the upper middle class. Well, the upper middle class and maybe them, they're going to make it into the housing market. It's going to be tougher for them, but they still are. But the mid-range middle class, they'll eventually break out of that if they have the ability to save and keep a hold of jobs. Then maybe they can break in. But again, the fact that they're not selling them, why aren't they selling them when there is the need? And the fact of the matter is they're too expensive.
But again, we know by looking around, by just driving around this city, how many starts have stopped. Right?
Yes. We have. And why? Why? So what was the reason?
We've seen plenty. I've seen plenty of signs where, right on the edge of the field where we've seen the discussion in City Hall. It's been approved. There's an area around it that says approved, ready to go, and nobody's dug a hole. You've got other areas where it's approved, ready to go, in progress, and there's a hole dug and nothing further moved on it. The hole's been there for 2 years. That is incredibly common around our city.
So what's causing it?
Yeah, because we're approving them at City Hall, but we're not getting guarantees on starts.
Yeah, well, we do have the sunset clause on them.
Yeah.
But we have a need for a lot of housing. And now the contractors are not building anymore because they're not able to sell what they have. Yeah. Why? If you have a housing need and you have contractors saying we have more houses than we can sell, and you still have this need, a lot of people need a house or dwelling apartment. So what
they're not
is
reducing and they're not reducing the
problem
price.
The problem is, as I said before, they're building houses and stuff like that, not affordable ones.
Yeah.
If they
And
did, they'd be able to sell them.
And they won't reduce the price either.
No, and because
in fact,
when this whole thing began, of course, developers want to develop in a range where they're going to get maximum money.
Yep.
And so, okay, we'll build the houses, but they can't sell them now. So, seriously, what's wrong here? If you have a need, and we're constantly told people don't have their own homes and they need homes, and we don't have enough homes, and housing prices went through the roof, and okay, the only way to alleviate that is make a lot more available. If you have a lot more available, it stops the prices of houses from skyrocketing, and it then provides a lot of houses, but with competition brings the price down. That's not happening. Why?
Yeah,
and it's because people can't afford them. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, and the point being is that they're not pushing the price down. They're saying, "Oh, I built a home. It's worth X. I'm not going, Whereas they've had all sorts of offers that have been X minus Y, right? And they're not taking the hint that actually the housing market is a lot lower than they built it at.
The problem, seriously, what is the problem then? Look, the contractor builds homes. They build it in a market range where they want to make the best money. Yeah. That is not affordable homes. Affordable homes don't make them the most money. And let's put it this way too, people don't want affordable housing in their neighborhood. That's why they're trying to get certain buildings in that to include affordable housing within them, so that you can disperse the concentration of people who are of lower economic means. That's what they used to do. They used to put people that were low income all in one place, and then that brought problems.
Yeah, and then you ended up with ghettos. Yeah, and then you ended up with ghettos when they're all in one place, right?
Yeah. So my issue, of course, is that if they're building them and can't sell them, and there is a need, what's the problem? And the government really hasn't said anything. It says, "Oh well, we've got all these starts. We want to get so many million houses built in so many years, and the construction starts are slowing down and even stopping, and the houses they are building are taking longer and longer to sell if they sell them. Yeah, and yet you've got a huge population of people who want a home. Tell me what's wrong with that situation."
Oh, a lot. Yeah. We got so much demand, but we got so many, so many empty homes. Yeah, somebody's not looking at it right.
Yeah, they're building houses people can't afford. Yeah, affordable housing. How about that? Let's start concentrating on that.
We've been talking about.
So we talk about mini homes. We talk about little mini homes and things like that for the homeless or the people who don't have anything, and we talk about putting up more neighborhoods and stuff like that for people who have a pretty good wage. But you're not talking about that person that could probably start off in a wartime house if you would build it. Remember, we have all kinds of plans for wartime houses. Remember that was put out in the previous Trudeau government? Yeah. Oh, we're going to release this to the community so they can start building these inexpensive war houses so people can get a starter home. Well, I don't see any of them going up. Do you?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen any of those kind of starts. Everything seems to be, lavish. There's not been anything. In fact, actually, you look at the ones that have been around here. Most of them have been luxury luxury buildings.
Across the street, there's a condo building just.
I like that condo building. I like that condo building, but it's on the expensive side.
Yeah, it's very expensive, and there's almost nobody living there right now. It was late. For the longest time, it was sitting there with a sign on it. It was a very late start. It finally got started. It got built, and I haven't been into them, but my neighbor's been through them to look through them. He says the workmanship inside is extremely shoddy. The grounds are full of weeds, and we don't see anybody living there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a couple of, it looks to me, there's only a couple of people that live there, and yet they've been completed for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, so there you go. If you go in there and if you got money, for one thing, they're very expensive. So it's for an exclusive group. It's not going to help the average Niagaran, because an average Niagaran is not going to be able to afford one of them. And if
and if they were to rent it out, see, the obvious thing would be to rent out those houses if you can't sell them. But again, the rent will be too high.
Exactly. That's my point completely. And over and over and over again. Yeah, okay. You're building places. There's a place across the street that's being built, and one or two tenants maybe in the whole, or owners in the whole place. But nobody's been able to fill that place up. And why? Because it's too expensive. And why? Because it's out of the price range of the average Niagaran.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what's the point? And I think that's the same thing. Affordable. How about affordable? Where are these wartime houses that were supposed to be set up? Where, how come? I know the Niagara City Council looks for developments that say they have affordable houses, or at least they tout it when they say, "Oh well, there's affordable units in this."
I think Laurie Lococo has been asking about affordable housing, but very few others have.
Yeah, so it's not working. So they're going to have to figure out how it works. And guess what? Build houses that people can afford. That's the issue. If you have a huge demand, for affordable homes, and what you're doing is building other than that, of course, it's not going to work.
There needs to be a range of homes. There's always a range of homes building all across the market, but you actually...
Well, they're having no problems selling to those people who have means. Do they?
The upscale.
We're not finding any complaint. We're not finding any complaints from somebody that's making $200,000 or over. I can find a home, no problem.
Yeah.
What you do find is, like I say, the medium wage in this city, a family as low 100,000s or something like that, they're not going to be able to break into a brand new house. See, they're lucky to find an old, broken down, used home.
But again, what generally happens, you make houses across the entire market, from affordable to the luxury. And the point being is that there are people that move from affordable to the next level up. There's a ladder up there, right? So people move up, people move down, but again, there's the affordable allows particularly the young to move into the market.
Well, it's not happening, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a clear problem we've got here.
No, because seriously, you're not taking that affordable thing seriously enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a problem. It's like you can still make money on building affordable homes. You've got to just take a different approach to building those homes.
You got a lot. Instead of building 3 homes on it, you build 1. Yeah. And that's a lot easier for you. You get a lot of better return on your investment as a contractor. Of course, they're going to build stuff like that. If somebody comes along and says, "Oh, we want you to build 3 houses on that lot, more affordable ones," well, that's more effort.
Well, the irony
here, all you have to do, and more time, and then you have to sell 3 of them instead of 1.
Yeah.
So what do you think the contractor is going to do? Nobody's going over to the contractor and says, "Okay, you own this land, and you're gonna now develop it. You're gonna put a residential area in it, and well, I guess what we want you to do is we want you to make this an affordable neighborhood." And he's gonna say, "You get stuffed. All I have to do is build 1 house and make a bundle of money. I don't have to build 3 and hope to sell it to 3 different people." So nobody's standing over them and saying that you must do this, unless the province or the city or the region goes and said that this area or this part of this area has to be affordable.
But again, here's the thing, Dave. You could sell one home that on that same example, the one home you sell, let's say you sell it for $1 million, but if you can manage to sell 3 homes on that lot and you can sell them for 400,000, then you stand to make more money.
Okay, why don't you make the case to the contractors then?
Yeah, but
why aren't they doing it? Yeah. Don't you think they know that? Don't you think they know that?
They should know that, and they just not taking.
Of course they know it, but obviously that they don't see an advantage of that somehow along the way.
All right. Good morning, Karen Fraser. Good morning, Nancy Scisorinsky.
Long time no hear from Karen Fraser.
Yeah.
Or Nancy too.
Yeah. Well, it's always a pleasure to have both you ladies along. All right. Okay. So, housing starts are only part of the problem, as we've been discussing here, because it's housing take-up that I think is the nub of the issue right now. There's no affordable units out there. And I think we've been talking about that for the last 4 years, about the need for affordable homes.
Yeah, well, I've had 2 of my sons, or one of my sons got a house, one of my 3 sons got a house, and another one, it looks as if they're going to be able to buy one within a few days. So, but it's taken years.
Yep.
Years. When they have good, solid incomes, and the banks are another problem. The banks are very, very timid.
Well, I had
to give out mortgages.
Yeah, I was, I believe, 23 when I bought my first home. Bought it with a friend of mine. The bank was kind of a bit cautious because they said, "Are you a gay couple?" We were like, "No."
Hey, Peter.
Well, hey, not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but hey, that was. But again, at the time, back in the 80s, that was how they were. The banks were, right?
Yeah, I would have said, "Do you mean happy?"
Yeah. Well, anyway. But anyway, so the point being is that was the way that I did it with a friend of mine. Got onto it. But as I say, 23 I was.
So and I was 25 when I got my first house. So look, it's really farther out of reach. You have to have 2 solid incomes, and of course, this is dissuading people from having families and children too. Yeah. So the whole idea.
Well, later I sold my half of the home and bought another home. So that was only a year and a half later. So I managed to move to another area. Did well out of that by doing that. Right?
Who's going to be able to? Okay, well, of course, that was back in yesteryear. We're talking about today.
I know.
We're talking about today, and so it was it was within your reach as a normal, everyday, medium.
I probably earned more than. If truth be told, at that time, I probably earned more than the average wage. But
okay,
being
all right. So you're saying even back then you had to have more money than the average earner to get.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we, hey, I had to share in order to get my first one, but I got on the housing market fairly quickly.
All right. The problem here. Let's bring it back into modern times, though. Right now, and all we're doing is flogging the same horse over and over again.
I know.
There are the demand from the government was to build. If you build more, the price will come down, and there's more availability. That hasn't worked. And why? Yeah. Because they build places that people can't afford.
Yep.
And if you design your homes to meet the average income of the people of Niagara Falls, you would have no trouble selling them. Obviously, they're not doing that.
Yeah, and they should do that for every single area. Right? They should be looking at the low median income And
all right, what else we got? We kind of killed this over and over again.
Well, actually, I think you'll love this next one. Scientists say they can cut HIV out of cells. Basically, they've been looking at this new technology whereby there's it's like they can inject this thing into your body.
CRISPR technology. They use CRISPR technology, which is a gene editing technology, and what they can do with the gene editing CRISPR technology is, so far, they have discovered they can take the HIV part of your DNA out. That thing that HIV needs. Now, HIV, of course, we haven't talked about that for a long time, but it still scourges our society.
The reason I put this up, Dave, wasn't just because of HIV. Obviously, eradication of HIV would be a good thing, right? But how many other things, how many cells, the potential is they're using this CRISPR technology, not just for HIV, but let's say for fat reduction or something like that.
Well, they do. They go on in the later part of the article to talk about how gene editing is a thing and how. Now here's the problem. Here's the dark and light of it. So with gene tech, say your family has a tendency to have cancer, or your family has something like cystic fibrosis or something like that. What they're saying, they can go in and edit that gene to take out that weakness, that mutation that makes you susceptible to those things. So that's it. But that is the light. But the dark part is that with this technology, they can make you superhuman. As a matter of fact, they can take your genes and enhance them and make them into something more. So they can sort of manufacture a person not only removed of the vulnerabilities that person may have in their future life, but actually enhance everything else. Smarter, make them stronger, make them taller, make them anything you want. So that's the dark end of CRISPR, gene editing.
And the extent to which we should do any of that lot. It's one thing, for example, if you look, if you're a 20-something-year-old and you look in your mother, if you look on your mother's side and you look on your father's side and you say, okay, you've got these potential vulnerabilities in your life. Let's knock those out of your genes. That's one thing. But to try and make you a super, you're just joining the armed forces. Let's add the super soldier CRISPR injection.
Well, it would have to happen at an earlier stage in development, I think. But whatever happened. But this article, basically, the HIV.
Yeah, I'm being cynical, of course, Dave. I'm being very cynical in saying that.
Yeah. So I knew we were. So you get the super soldier, you get the supermodel, you get all these things. You get the enormous brain. Somebody with a IQ of 300, and definitely possible. But what CRISPR technology has done here with HIV is very interesting. What they've done, what they demonstrate they have done, and even tested on in humans, was to go into the genetic, I can't really tell you the details because I'm not a scientist, but basically what they do is they can break out the bits that the HIV needs to exist, so they can take it out of all the different cells. Yeah. Now, it's interesting to note they put in a situation here, put in here, that people who have undergone intensive cancer treatments, when they got better, quite often they're HIV free. And whatever the cancer treatment is, it kills the HIV virus as well in your cells, but the other cells survive. What HIV does is basically it's a virus and it gets in there, and your immune system is supposed to attack it. But what HIV does is it hoodwinks the immune system. It gets in there and uses the machinery of the immune system to recreate itself and make you sick. What CRISPR is, what this CRISPR technology is promising is to be able to, once you have it, to break apart your DNA enough that you can kill that part of it that HIV relies upon, or the HIV sequence that uses that immune cell technology or feature. I don't know. That's the best way I can describe it. But
something like cancer has been a thorn in the sides of a lot of things, and it seems to me this would be a safer way to treat cancer than chemotherapy.
Well, the point of the article was just to demonstrate that the HIV can be killed.
Yeah.
And cancer treatments have killed off HIV, people who have suffered from HIV. Now, HIV is under control now with a lot of medications.
Oh, so
yeah. You can, if you have HIV, you can live a life now.
Well, in fact, the numbers of deaths, there hasn't really been any, Freddie Mercury style deaths from AIDS and HIV for a long while.
Yeah, that's because they found a cocktail of antiviral drugs.
Yeah, these are the PrEP drugs.
Yeah, so there are a cocktail of drugs that keep HIV dormant in your system. So if you take those drugs, you can have, if you've got HIV and you take those drugs, then you can have a good life, and you can even have sexual intercourse and stuff like that, because the HIV is in dormancy. These drugs put it in dormancy, and they even have an HIV drug that if you are negative and your partner is a positive, even if they're protected by drugs or whatever, you can take this HIV drugs to block HIV from getting established in you. So say if you're a sex worker, you could take this HIV drug and be sure that it will block any potential infection from HIV you got. So they make some really, really big strides.
Massive advances in it. But again, with the CRISPR technology, that means that it has the potential to knock it out as well.
Yes, and yet this is they have had some successful runs with animals. They've even tried it on humans. But of course, this is a kind of thing that will take many years to perfect, and they have to study any kind of unknowns, basically. What's it going to do to your immune system? What kind of reactions are you going to have to the treatment and all that? But it is another step in a positive direction with this CRISPR technology, which I think will be probably paramount in years to come, because it can actually cut out the vulnerabilities and help you destroy the diseases or those things that would affect you, basically. You might not need a polio vaccination in the future, because CRISPR technology has made it possible that everybody would be immune to it. Who knows?
Yeah, basically, Mike is saying they need to use gene studies to find causation and then fix the problem, not wait for your cells to get damaged, then address it.
Quite right. Right.
And that's actually
there are people that have a predilection to diabetes, predilection to cancer, predilection to a number of things. So if you know your family history, and let's say you're starting a family or something like that, you may be able to take advantage of that and make sure that your offsprings do not carry that predilection to cystic fibrosis or any other mutation of the gene. So there's a lot of possibilities out there, and they are.
Well, okay, so one of the things he's talked about here is autism, ADHD. One of the things about autism, dyslexia, Asperger's and that sort of thing is that the brain's actually wired differently to many of those people. So, in fact, actually, this CRISPR treatment isn't going to help with curing autism or ADHD.
Well, the problem, right now we're not killing the HIV, are we? We're just treating it once you have it. So you can live a good life. The ADHD thing, and some people with extreme ADHD need the drugs. They haven't been able to cure it, fix it, but they can control it. So a lot of things are controlled by drugs, not treated by drugs. So controlled by drugs is different than being cured by drugs. So I don't know. It's sometimes can end up as a moral quandary.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I was intrigued by this next one. U.S. offers $50 million reward for the arrest of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. And I probably mispronounced that one. But hey, what's the price on Donald Trump's head?
Sorry. I don't know.
Sorry, I had to ask that. Sorry, that was totally out of order. What's the price on Putin's head? What's the price on Netanyahu?
I don't know. If you bring Trump's head alone, you might have to pay somebody to take it.
Yeah.
But the very idea here is distraction. Right now, the Epstein thing is killing the MAGA and their leaders. So they've thrown out every kind of distraction possible. They already have a $25 million price tag on Maduro's head. They know they're not going to get it. They know no one's going to bring them in. They know all that kind of stuff. But they're going to put it out there that they upped it. They doubled the price tag for Maduro from 25 million to 50 million. If they really wanted somebody to take them out, they would put $1 billion. Otherwise, no one's going to bother, because it would have been an insane thing to try to do. But they are claiming that Maduro is in lockstep with narco facilitators, people who produce cocaine and stuff and send it to the United States and other places in the world. And they're basing that claim on the fact that they arrested one of his officials in London or in Britain one time, and the guy was definitely dirty. So what they did was they swung a deal with the guy and said, okay, you're his, I think it was his defense minister or something like that. So you're his guy, and I guess what? Tell us what we want to hear. Tell us that Maduro is in on this narco stuff, and we'll cut you a break. And so he that's what it sounds like happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that's what it sounds like. So now they can draw attention to Maduro and call him on, say he's involved in running drugs, working with Colombian rebels known as FARC. Well, FARC, I think, is finished right now. So if he is working with FARC, he's not working with them anymore, because FARC doesn't exist anymore, or at least it is being dismantled.
Yeah,
definitely an outfit like FARC or other terrorist outfits, or will definitely be working with the narco, the cartels and stuff like that, because it's a huge amount of money they can use to get themselves, keep themselves going. But I think this is just a distraction. The Epstein thing is killing Trump and his followers right now. They can't shake it off. So they're charging Biden and they're charging Clinton, and they're pointing out Maduro and anything. Talk about anything.
Yeah.
I saw.
Talk about anything but me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talk about anything but me and the Epstein tapes, because they're killing me from getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Not that even the Nobel Peace Prize is I don't think is really under consideration by the Nobel Committee.
Well, if you see the the conditions, but he's claimed that, well, Armenia and Azerbaijan came to Washington to see if they could help sort things out there. I guess the administration gave them a few guarantees to try to help them sort out their ages-old problem. I don't think anything was seriously solved, but what they did do to get on the right side of Donald Trump is there's a corridor now. There's a corridor between Armenians in one location to another location, and that's called the Trump Freedom, Liberty, whatever kind of way. So they named it. Everybody knows you got to stroke this guy's ego. Even what was it? Who's the chip maker? The chip maker came to Washington and gave Trump a gold plaque. And Trump says, okay, now you only have to pay 15% of your profits to deal with China. So that's not really onshoring chip technology to the United States, but it's paying them off. Yeah. So I don't know. And it all starts with a big plaque, or everybody seems to know that he's got an ego that he has to be blown up. But anyway, I don't know. What's your take?
Well, I don't know. There's a chance of this guy coming out of Venezuela anyway. So it's kind of it's like it's easy to put a price on some foreign leader's head, right? Because they're not going to leave their country anyway. Right?
Yeah. So it's all symbolic.
Yeah, very symbolic. It means nothing, right? It's like me and you putting a price on Netanyahu's head or on Putin's head. It means nothing.
Look what it took him to take out Noriega. Noriega was a U.S. ally in Panama.
Yeah.
When his drug, and he made a lot of money working with the narco cartels and helping move drugs. But the U.S. put up with it until it was too embarrassing, and then they went in and took him out. But meanwhile, before that, he was an ally of theirs.
Yeah.
So they're perfectly willing to look the other way at certain times, but in this particular case, Maduro is a pain in their side. So, but this 25 million, 50 million, 500 million, you're not going to get anybody going in and getting them unless they have an opportunity to scoop them. And what are they going to do? Bring them to the United States?
Yeah.
And what evidence do they really have? He may very well. I mean, Maduro is a dictator, so you never know what a dictator is going to do. But in the long run, he's survived. He's frustrated the U.S. incredibly because of the survivability. They thought he was gone and done many times before, and he still survives.
Yeah.
And he has the world's largest reserve of oil under his feet. So I think it's just another distraction.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, is the U.S. going to stop buying Venezuelan oil? Probably not.
They have, pretty much. They have, but they have made some exceptions.
They'll get it through the back door somehow.
Maduro probably has no problem selling it other places. The problem with Venezuelan crude is it's very heavy, which made it ideal for Venezuela to sell it to the Texas refineries, because that particular oil is very good for those heavy crude refineries in Texas. And it's our good luck that Maduro is such a jerk, because it's more worth it now for them to bring Canadian oil all the way from Alberta by pipeline into those refineries in and around Texas, whereas before they were made there for the express purpose of using Venezuelan heavy crude.
Yeah,
refined, because I remember they had been running out until fracking came along. So that's what their design was, to build those heavy crude refineries in Texas. It's not far from there for a Venezuela tanker to bring the oil there.
Oh yeah.
And that was the point of the heavy crude refineries there.
Yeah.
But our good luck, they don't like Venezuela, so would they get our crude instead?
Yeah. In fact, actually, that's arguably exactly why there was that that whole deal in the first place, because those tankers get across there fairly quickly.
It's not arguable that was their plan, because at that particular time, the U.S. had been running out of oil, and actually, it still is an import nation. Basically, it produces more oil than any other nation on Earth, but still needs more than it produces.
Yeah, I believe that the U.S. has more reserves than they even know about, though.
The problem is, right now they've built heavy crude refineries. The stuff that they're getting out of fracking is sweet crude. It pays them more to ship that out, sell that, and import heavy crude for the refineries that they've already made. That's what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I think that kind of is it for us this morning. We got one more comment. We got one more comment. There are 23 genetic markers for ADHD, and yet there's no tests for proof. I can go on forever about this. Yeah, and again, ADHD, autism. Well, ADHD is not the same as autism, but autism, dyslexia, Asperger's spectrum, it has different issues, but I'm sure they have DNA related issues on them.
Yeah, so we're in our infancy still yet to diversify things like ADHD and probably, I've known a lot of people with ADHD, so
and you're right. There's some good and bad with that gene technology.
Yeah. Anyway, to sum up, I'd just like to point out what's happening in Gaza right now. Again, every day I'm going to do this. It's insane what's going on there right now. Of course, they've killed one of the last really professional journalist outfits there, because the images coming out of Israel are things that are killing Israel internationally. So the best thing they can do is kill the people who make those images and transmit them out of Gaza. So that's what they're doing. They've killed over 200 journalists right now, and they plan to keep on doing that as long as the images keep coming out. And they're planning to take over Gaza City completely. They're attacking it again, missiles, bombs, airplanes, blasting the crap out of it. But the word is, once they get it, they're going to try to clean it up as much as they can before the international eyes get to look at it. They've restricted all outside journalism to it. They don't allow information in and out unless they control it. And until international journalists go in there and see really what's going on, and they're not going to let that happen because they don't want people to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
Without further ado, I bid you